Today we will discuss transducers, or more detailed, the processing of audio in embedded applications. The fact that you can hear us is all thanks to a microphone that converts our voices into analog electronic signals. The electronic signals are then digitized so that they can be processed and streamed to all our devices. With us is Stuart Yaniger, and Stuart is an audio and electronics expert, and he can explain what the difference is between a microphone and a transducer. But Stuart, welcome to eeNews video channel. Before we have our conversation, explain us, where are we? Because I see so many equipment around you. What is it?
This is my immaculately organized and immaculately decorated basement laboratory.
If I just look behind you, what is your favorite piece of test equipment on the desk behind you?
Without any question at all, over here we have some audio precision gear.
Okay.
We've got the APX 515 and the 1701 transducer interface. They're just absolutely marvelous pieces of equipment.
Okay, so you're using that quite often?
Yeah, I would say that's probably 80 to 90% of the test work that I do. I use this equipment. The software is incredibly versatile. The performance is just immaculate, and Audio Precision did not pay me to say that.
Okay, which is good. We're going to have a conversation on transducers. Some people might say, that is a microphone, but you can explain what the difference is between a microphone and a transducer.
Sure. It's really a matter of set and subset. As a general matter, a transducer is anything which transforms one sort of energy into another sort of energy. Within the context of electronics, where we're concerned, typically this is something which converts an analog quantity into an electrical signal, or conversely, an electrical signal into an analog quantity. Now, taking that subset down even a little bit narrower, when we talk about sound, a transducer is anything which will convert a sound or some sort of acoustic stimulus into an electrical signal, or conversely, an electrical signal into a sound. So a loudspeaker, for example, would be a transducer because it's converting electrical energy into acoustic energy. A microphone is a transducer, the other end of it, which converts acoustic energy into an electrical signal, electrical energy.
Okay, so it's a matter of a definition more than a technology, you say?
Exactly.
But I think transducers are having a bit more different technology than the old typical condenser microphones, where we have two plates with a voltage, and then the distance between the plates differs a bit due to the analog sound, and that signal can be used for further processing. A transducer uses a bit more different technology, I think.
Well, in a sense, the condenser microphone that you described, the old school sort of microphone, is still a transducer. We just have a few new transducer technologies that weren't quite as prominent some years ago, hadn't been developed some years ago. And I think those are the sorts of transducer technologies, as opposed to a condenser mic, which are starting to dominate where we're going with consumer electronics. The best example that I can give is what we call the MEMS transducer, MEMS, which is a micro electromechanical system. The MEMS transducers really are still condenser mics. They're really, in principle, no different than the condenser mics of old, other than we can fabricate these on chips, much like an integrated circuit. They're similarly compact, similarly rugged, and similarly easy to handle from a production standpoint. They can be soldered easily. They can be put on circuit boards. And because of the economies of scale, they're also very inexpensive now. A typical MEMS microphone, which can have fairly high performance, will be on the order of 30 or 40 cents. I'm sure Apple, when they buy them for their iPhones, are paying considerably less than that per unit. But this opens up a lot of opportunities now, in that we can now sample the acoustic field in different spots where we couldn't do that economically before. So, for example, I could take 4 or 5 B and K microphones and place them in different places, play with the signals, and get some sort of functionality that I couldn't have gotten before.
Yeah.
But at $2,000 a pop, that tends to be impractical. Whereas now that I've got a 39-cent chip, which is about this big, arraying 8 of them, 10 of them, whatever it takes, is something which is now very practical and very economical.
So it also opens up a whole set of new applications.
Yes, a perfect application that people are very familiar with is the current generation of smart speakers.
Okay.
Things like the Alexa, the Google smart speaker. I have over here, partly for the reach, a development board that's used for that sort of application. And again, within the circuit board, there's 4 of these MEMS microphones.
Okay.
By manipulating the signals within the firmware and within the software, we can do all sorts of interesting things in terms of steering where the lobe of sensitivity is, which is something, again, that was not practical some years ago. But more to the point, and I think that's really the point of this module and the particular set of firmware that's on here, is I can pull a voice out of a background.
Okay.
So, for example, if I've got a smart speaker and I'm working in the kitchen and I need a recipe for pancakes, I'm not going to have that thing right next to me. I can't stop what I'm doing, walk over to it, talk to it, and say, "Get me a recipe for pancakes." But there's all sorts of other noises and so forth in the kitchen, and the device needs to be smart enough and be able to reject enough of the surrounding noises to be able to pull my voice out from 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters away, and then respond to me.
Okay,
And,
so
the essence.
So a sort of you actually created with this project a sort of electronic lens which is able to focus on a specific spot, and basically Okay.
Exactly. Not just that, but you have a lot of flexibility in terms of not only being able to steer it and focus on a spot, but even if I'm moving around in the kitchen, it is able to eliminate sound that's coming from, each side of the device, and be able to sort of focus in on what I'm saying and eliminate many of the background noises. Within the firmware and the software, there is also ways of being able to extract what's really a voice from what sort of random noise, what sort of systematic noise. If, for example, we work on a 60 hertz system here, and the system needs to say, okay, if there is a heater going or a refrigerator going or something like that, that's going to be harmonics of 60 hertz. 50 hertz for people in Europe. And we can notch these things out in software, where again, this was just something that was not easily done. The other thing too is that if you're arraying the microphones, if you compare signals between them and know where these microphones are in space, again, it gives you a way of rejecting something which is moving versus something which is stationary. So if you want to focus on a stationary sound, it can do that and distinguish that from a moving sound. It may also want to do the opposite. You may want to, for example, look at a moving sound and reject anything which is sort of staying in one place, like a heater or a refrigerator.
It's a sort of a dynamic way of noise cancelling, what you're describing here.
Exactly. We've had noise canceling in the past, but this really sort of gives us an extra dimension of being able to do that. The fact that I can now have 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever number of separate microphone transducers arrayed in a particular way in space gives me options that I couldn't have with very simple noise canceling systems like the ones in these headphones. Where I just have a simple external microphone.
Well, perhaps for the next time we have to talk about the other side of the whole spectrum, with speakers, and see, if there are also possibilities to actually to focus on a sort of a specific spot and make sure that the sound arrives exactly on that point. Thanks for now, Stuart, for explaining and introducing us to transducers. There's a lot of more to discuss. But, we're not giving it away all in one episode, Hope to see you the next time in your maker space and talk further about transducers and audio and embedded audio in eeNews video channel.
Great. Thank you so much for the chance to talk about this.
Okay, see you next time.